Okay, so we are going to be live streaming. We're live streaming now. Okay. Ta-da! Yay. All the technology I'm learning, all the technology, I'm learning. And so thank you, Teresita, Alvarado. It's a pleasure to be with you, and what an honor for me. And Teresita Alvarado is an artist. She's an artist and a photographer. I really feel that your photography captures the spirit of things, and I feel like it's one of the ways at least in my own home, that I can bring the outside to the inside and be close to nature even when I'm indoors. Your images of birds and trees and all the mysteries. And so your gift of photography is here with us. And you're also a healing architect, I like to call, put the healing and the architect together. And you're a healer and you're an architect of healing, and a teacher. And I'm so grateful to be with you. And something else I really enjoy about you is your gift for writing and poetry, and that you're also a dancer. And so all of those medicines come together in one really sacred person. And so thank you for being with me today. And it's an honor to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
See. And I was thinking about energy. I've been thinking about energy and what we're doing with our energy, and I wanted to talk with you about it. And I know Isa will join us in a future talk, but for today, I'm just noticing what people are doing with their energy, and I wanted to be in a conversation about your thoughts about that, and how people are working with their energy, what you're noticing about energy, what your thoughts are about energy. And I have something I'd like to read, but first I'd like to hear your thoughts and ideas and around this topic of conversation for today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when I was meditating about energy earlier, what comes to mind is how can we transform energy? And because I feel that as humans, as we are right now, we focus so much on the negative that I feel that maybe we even create some catastrophes and things. Like one example that I can think of recently is there's been an earthquake in Mexico, one in 1985, one in 2000, maybe 18 or 17, and one very recently, and they've all fallen on the same day, like the specific same day. And I know the earth has a lot to say, and maybe it's coming from the earth, but I also wonder, is it being caused by the fear that people, because a lot of people had a lot of trauma from those earthquakes. So and actually on that day there's a commemoration for the earthquake where you do a drill. And so the consecutive earthquakes have happened around the same time as the drill. So I wonder if the fear of the people that, because I mean, again, a lot of people are living the trauma again. I wonder if that's causing the earthquake itself, because our minds are so powerful and our energy is so powerful that. So something that I was thinking about when that happened recently, which was in September, I was like, oh, if we could just focus more in creating love and compassion and put our energy towards that, could we change things in that way, as opposed to when something bad happens, we just start talking bad about it, or we start complaining about it, or I mean, we sometimes even say hateful things about people in power, people in our governments. And I wonder if we could just send them love, and could we transmute that energy into something different in that way?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too, Teresita, just to think about openings. Like I think that how can we open doors to one another instead of closing doors to one another? Because a closed door doesn't let us in and it doesn't let us out. So how can we create openings and really care for one another as human beings? And as what's that saying? They say everybody is doing the best that they can, or they would be doing something different, right? They would probably do something different if they could do something different, but sometimes we can't. We can just do what we can do, but if we have an open door to someone, if we can make an opening, then a different interaction can happen, and we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm wondering, there's a couple of things. I'm wondering, where have you had that experience where maybe you thought a door was closed and you and then maybe you had another perspective, or maybe something happened or that changed the perspective, but where have you seen a closed door, and then what happened for you to open it, or to see it as a portal instead of a wall?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have an example in general, because I feel that it happens very often for me. And I think it happens because I tend to make a lot of assumptions. I tend to go into situation with a lot of expectations and assumptions. And that on its own creates the walls or the doors to close, because then I start acting in a way depending on how I think I should act to either avoid a situation that I'm assuming about, or it's a self mechanism to protect myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in protecting myself, I feel like I miss out so much sometimes. So something that I'm learning is to really just open up, to not assume, to just coming into situations and into people with an open heart, not putting assumptions, and just really coming from a place of being as opposed to performing, I guess.
Wow.
And how can I just be and experience and allow for whatever is happening in front of me to happen, as opposed to putting on my architect hat and analyze everything and question things. But how can I really just open my heart and just the best way that I can describe it is how to just be. And the same way that a tree is just standing there being what it is, but it has so much magic and so much power and so much beauty and so much wisdom just from standing there, right? And that presence, that peace, that calmness, it's what creates its power and its being. So I guess, how can I better mimic nature?
Oh, yeah.
In the fact of just planting myself in a situation and just being and taking it all in, as opposed to coming from my trauma or my analytical brain. While still being curious, though, because I'm a very curious person. So how can I make a balance of, because you don't want to just be silent and standing there, right? Because we're humans, we have a aliveness, we have voices, we have bodies, we have so it's not about just becoming transparent and just kind of disappearing. It's not about that, but how can we still be in our bodies and be animated and use our voices while still be centered and just be open to the experience that is before us. I guess for me, yeah, what I've been trying to do is just to mimic nature in that way. And yeah, I guess I think when this happened, the best example that I have for this is when I was able to go to Sundance with you. I was able to open, so for some reason, because I had no idea what it was going to be like, I just allowed myself to not question things and just not have any expectations in coming in. And that's one of the most powerful experiences I've had in terms of just allowing myself to be and be seen for what my spirit is, as opposed to coming in with a role and expectations and performing. It was just like, I'm going to go with the flow, and whoever's in front of me, I will be open my heart to them. If I'm alone, I'll just be with myself, without again analyzing what has happened, what hasn't happened. I think I learned that from the sacred tree of life, of just being present and receiving and being in the prayer. I think I arrived to the thing. I think it's about being in prayer for me. If I'm able to stay in my prayer, then I'm able to get all the preconceptions about what things should be, shouldn't be. It's all about the prayer of bringing love, bringing compassion, bringing acceptance, bringing connection, and how to be the best relative that I can be to anyone that is before me.
Oh, so beautiful, Teresita.
Thank you for letting me process. I obviously didn't have
so
an answer until now. So
yeah, we're in a I love it. It's like a sacred conversation. And yeah, it was really, I'm just so grateful for your presence there and how powerful it was to have you there. And my family is just enchanted with you. Everyone loves you, and it's a privilege to make that journey with you and to be in that prayer together. And it's such a gift, and it's such a sacred way to live, And so, yeah, I think what you're saying about the prayer and the trees. I mean, I love that you you made the journey, from nature to the tree, to the trees, to the tree, to imitating nature, to praying with and to nature. And well, I mean, you're praying to the Great Spirit, but you're praying with everything that the Great Spirit is, which is everything. Or the Creator is in everything. The Creator created everything and is in everything. And I think that there isn't anyone who couldn't benefit from remembering that. that there's an energy that is like a great energy that loves us so much and really wants to hold us and care for us and guide us. And so I think that that's like a place where we need to, like you said, be more curious. Oh, well, I wonder what I could learn today, or I wonder what I could, find out about nature or my home or myself or my partner, or but what could I find out from the mystery? What kind of wisdom can I gather from my own body, from myself, from the mystery? And so I was just wondering, how is it that you gather energy? When you gather energy for yourself, of course, I love etymology, and I always want to look at that first. And energy is about life. It's like the spirit of life. It's the soul. It is vitality, and energy is really something that comes from the mystery, something that's created by the Great Spirit to help us. And so I'm just wondering, how do you access that energy? How do you access that? I'm curious about exploring that a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I always regain my energy from being in nature. And as you know, I lived in Seattle for many years, so I feel like there were lots of places to go into nature. I'm in a different place now. I'm in Mexico, in a city, so nature is not as accessible. But there's a little park where I live, and there's like all these wavy pathways to get to a park. It's a development. It's a suburban development, but there's trees and flowers, and we don't have a lot of variety of animals per se, but there's birds, and something that I've been curious about a lot is insects. I've always have been kind of afraid of insects. But I've had this huge fascination for insects. So I don't know, I just go on these walks. Either I try to do 2 or 3 a day, one in the morning, and then one maybe before dinner, and maybe another one after dinner. And it really becomes a conversation between me and the creator. And a lot of times we converse through the sky, or through the sun, or through these little critters that show up everywhere. And or sometimes I just go and sit at the park and reflect, and sometimes the conversation will come out through writing.
Yeah. So creating something.
Yeah, and mostly through writing. That's been my method lately for that connection. And so yeah, that's a lot of where I gather my energy from, and also just from movement in general. I'm a person that needs a lot of movement, and I think when I'm able to express my body in a certain way, or in a free way, that gives me energy. And it regenerates me, and it reconnects me with myself and who I really am. Yeah, when I'm moving, I just have this huge sense of freedom, and I've tried it in many different ways. I've been taking like some dance classes that has been partner dancing, and I realized that I was really struggling, because it is a lot of exchange of energy with a partner, right? With people that you don't know, you're exchanging energy with like 10 different people because you're close together and dancing. And then I was feeling like this huge restriction of like, I don't want to be told how to move. Like
don't tell me how to use my energy.
I just want to move my energy in the way that I want to, and my energy is kind of not clicking your energy. So
oh, that's great.
So yeah, just finding ways on how to be able to express my body in the way that I want to, and on my own energy, so that I'm not, because when you're partner dancing, you're kind of as a woman specifically, you're imitating. If you're dancing in a traditional, like if you're acting as the person following and you have a lead, then I mean, you're being led, right?
Right.
You have to mimic the rhythm and the movement that the other person is doing. That takes a lot of energy, I found out.
Yeah, following takes a lot of energy. Yeah.
So I've decided to not continue with the classes for now, maybe take a little break, to kind of regain my energy back and see how it is that my body wants to move, what it is that my rhythm, what's my rhythm.
Oh, wow.
Because I was following some other people's rhythm and other people's energy, and
Go ahead. Lo siento. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was even feeling how I was getting like more dimmed and tired from that.
Okay.
Even though it was a lot of fun, because I do have a lot of fun dancing, and I do like partner dancing, but I was seeing the shift of energy that I was not too happy with.
And
So yeah.
yeah, I apologize. I was like, but I was thinking about just that's a lot of energy, and that's a lot of different people too. And each person has their own energy. Right. So I really hear what you're saying. That makes sense to me. That, yeah, that would be a lot to hold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and with the dancing, it's like it gives you energy at the same time, right? That it like it's one of those things that like takes energy and gives energy at the same time. And but I find, when I'm dancing that it is if I'm dancing like in service to something, or if I'm dancing as a prayer, or if I'm dancing, like there's different forms of dance. I find that it's like all of the energy comes from the divine or from the higher power, or from that it's very much higher powered. But I really feel like the earth loves it when we dance, like it's something that earth loves, and that just it's almost like we're walking on her back, kind of like I used to ask my nieces and nephews, to walk on my back when they were smaller. And it just felt so good. And they walk on your back and it feels so good. And yeah, so I think that there's also just like we're like massaging her and caring for her and loving her, and in our dance. And that whenever we walk, there's that proverb I've heard that says, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And I just thought that I've always thought how powerful that and that maybe walking is dancing, and it has it's giving energy too, in addition. And so I wanted to read this piece, and it has some nature themes, surprise, surprise in it. But I also wonder about the energy that we get from our creations, right? Like I sometimes wonder, like, wow, the divine must get a lot of energy from us in addition to right? Like there's a reciprocity between us and the divine, and with that energy. And I think that that's just really something interesting to think about. But this is by Santi Deva, and it's from Prayers for Healing, 365 Blessings, Poems, and Meditations from around the world. And this is page 98, April 28th. And it says, as no one desires the slightest bit of suffering, nor ever has enough of happiness, there's no difference between myself and others. So let me make others joyfully happy. May those feeble with cold find warmth, and may those oppressed with heat be cooled by the boundless waters that pour forth from the great clouds of the bodhisattvas. May the rains of lava, blazing stones, and weapons from now on become a rain of flowers. Isn't that? And may all battling with weapons from now on be a playful exchange of flowers. I'm just sending that. We're sending that to so many places right now. Like if only that like that kind of transformation could happen, right? May the rains of lava, blazing stones, and weapons from now on become a rain of flowers. And may all battling with weapons from now on be a playful exchange of flowers. Yes. May the naked find clothing and the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed, and those powerless find power. And may people think of benefiting one another. May people think of benefiting one another. And I really, when I was listening to you, I was really hearing you talk about that, like that what we really want to do is benefit one another. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world, and so we got a lot going on. And so it's interesting just to think about how can we dispel this misery? Like, people are struggling and having a difficult time. And one of the things that I'm thinking about when I think of energy is like the energy of the air, earth, water, and fire in our own being, in our own bodies, our voice, right? To not be silent, to speak, to not censor. But I really appreciated, you were mentioning something about a post earlier, and just how you kind of transformed your energy around that. Would you mind speaking to that? And
yeah, earlier I posted, or yesterday I posted a response to I'm a part of a group for expats here where I'm at, and somebody asked a question, so I answered it. And I specifically said that this was my opinion, but somebody else responded trying to correct me on a few things and trying to make it seem that their opinion was reality and not my opinion, which they both are valid. I mean, food is very, it was a comment about food. Like, I feel that where we are doesn't have the best food for my taste. And this person responded saying how Querétaro, where we are, has the best food in all of Mexico. So I feel really compelled to respond with a very snarky comment like, oh, you've been to every part in Mexico and tasted all the food everywhere. That was my first reaction.
Oh, that's great.
I really wanted to respond that way, but then I took a moment to recenter. And instead of doing that, I thought of sending them love and openness and compassion. And so, and the flowers, I really like that teaching that you have about sending people flowers before a conversation or something. So it's just sending them flowers of love, and I just didn't respond. And I didn't take on the energy of like, oh, this person told me this and now I'm gonna be mad, or maybe I could have gotten self-conscious about, well, like questioning myself, like now gaslighting myself, right? Around, oh, well, is this person right? Or should I be questioning my taste of food? You know, we can go in so many rabbit holes with stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just let it go. And it was just a comment and just sending love to this person.
Yeah, just to let that go. What is it? There's that meditation, like just let it go, let it go, let it go.
Yeah, because in my meditation this morning, I was being shown how I sometimes go into freeze mode because I feel so much heaviness, because I do tend to take comments like that and take them on. And just I have this accumulation of carrying all this stuff on my shoulders that is not mine to carry. And then it takes my energy away and I freeze. So I need to be in the practice of more of letting go and transmute that energy into something beautiful, asking my guides, nature, creator, to transform that energy into something else that can be true, good, and beautiful, as opposed to taking it on my shoulders and just carrying it until I don't have energy.
Yeah, I think that's power, like that, just that process of unburdening what isn't ours. And then, also just looking at the energy in the world and what the world needs from us. Like, I feel like the world is speaking with us right now and asking a lot from us and asking us to change and transform our energy. And it's not like we have to change everything overnight, but what are some positive changes that you feel people could make in this time, as so many opportunities for change are being offered to us?
Well, I think there are so many things. But I think one thing is to have awareness about our perspectives and where we are married to our perspectives, and being able to be open to other perspectives and know that we do all have different realities, and even if something doesn't seem true to us, it can be true for another person. So kind of have the compassion to put ourselves in the shoes of another person. And even though we may not fully understand it, we may not fully connect to it, still have compassion towards it. And yeah, accepting that it's kind of finding a balance of acceptance of all of us being different, but at the same time, we're all connected. So how can we value the differences that we have between each other, but how can we also see that our interconnectedness, and instead of taking from each other, how can we better support each other? Because I mean, I feel this way, and I know you do too, that something that we're lacking a lot in this society is love. So most of the time when somebody's acting up, or when somebody's getting angry, or we have all these reactive things happening, is because we're feeling a lack of love. So how can we give that out and allow ourselves to receive it too? Because sometimes we're so closed up that we don't receive it. And I mean, I can say this from just in the last year, I've been interacting a lot more with you. And you've changed my life in a way that I can't put words to it. I wish I could. But like just being able to have somebody that truly, like, you give out so much love and so much appreciation, and you see people for who they are, and you make sure that they know that you love them. You make sure that that they know that you appreciate them. You make sure that they know the impact that they have in your life. You are open to working through things with people and having difficult conversations. And it's like you create this world of freedom and safety, which I think it's something that we all need. How can we be free but safe? Because we need those two things. And I think that you create that so beautifully for everyone, not just people that are close to you in your life, but I've seen you interact with a barista at Starbucks, and how just seeing the reaction of how an interaction with you kind of changed their day or the way they were feeling. So yeah, so bringing those things into our everyday life, and it's not just about us, it's about everyone. It's not just about humans, it's about every being, the sun, the earth, the moon, the air, all the elements, the sky, all the animals, even to the tiniest insect. There's been a spider living outside our house that I've been learning a lot from. It's very relentless. Its spider web has come apart, I don't know how many times, and it's been out there for 2 weeks, I think. And every time that the spider web falls apart, overnight it creates the whole thing again. So yeah, that alone is teaching me about the interconnectedness of seeing the web of life, and how we can keep fighting for each other. How can we keep supporting each other? How can we keep fighting for our own dreams, supporting each other's dreams instead of putting each other down? Because it's not a competition. We all have gifts. We all have unique gifts. And if we could just support each other, we could come into being who we are, as opposed to keep reacting from our traumas and our hurts and our pain.
Wow, Teresita, thank you so much. It's such a holy privilege to be with you, and it's such a gift to hear your voice. Your voice is an important voice for many to hear. And so I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and views about energy, and also your beautiful work and your processes around your work. And thank you for processing with me in that moment. And I'm deeply grateful to you and for all that you give and all that you bring to this beautiful community and to the global community, and for your beautiful bridging work, your courage and vulnerability. I'm so uplifted and encouraged by what you've shared today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we're going to have Teresita and Isa with us. So hopefully we will have them with us next week. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Have a beautiful week.
Bye.
Mhm.